All right, so pool's looking a little green, so I need to chlorinate it. The previous owners of this pool were using it as like a saltwater pool, which is dumb in my opinion. So today I'll be showing you how I'm gonna cut in a chlorinator, which is gonna take like little pucks, little trichlor pucks. We're gonna show you how I'm gonna cut this into the system in my pool room. Here we go. So a feeder like this, it's called like an erosion feeder, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're gonna put little pucks of chlorine or bromine, whatever you're choosing to use. I'll be using chlorine. You can put it in this feeder and the water rushes through it, just eroding off a little bit at a time. And that's how it keeps chlorine in your pool. Now this one here's got a little dial on it. It just pretty much determines how open it is. 5 being the most open, 1 being the least open. It just determines how much chlorine goes into your pool. So here is my pool room. That equipment right there is for the spa, but over here is the pool side. There's the filter. There's my pump that's circulating the water. Now, every pump, every pool system is going to have a circle, a loop in which it's doing the draining, in which it's doing the recirculating. It's going to be pushing out one way, in through the little supplies, and sucking back in through the skimmers, the main drain, the other side. And I'm going to cut this in where it goes. So here's me at my house. This is how all my circulating goes. So you can see these 2 pipes here. One of them's for the skimmer, one of them's for the main drain. These are coming up through the ground from the pool here. Then they're then supplied into my pump. They just come right through here and then into my pump. Now the pump is sucking. So I'm probably going to end up cutting in my chlorinator right here, but I'll show you that here in a second. But it's going to suck through here, up through here, into the inlet, down through the outlet of that filter. I have a DE filter. It's going to go around that loop. You can't really kind of see it, but it's going to come up in here through this green line. It's going to come into my heater. And it's going to come back out through my heater, now hot. It's going to go down. It kind of goes back behind this rack. Comes back out through this pipe here, all the way in through here. Then you'll pass here. There's my water fill if I need it. And eventually it goes back down through here. Again, you can see that little arrow that's going to say the flow goes back down into the ground. Chlorinators, it does matter which direction they go, at least for best result. I have seen them put in backwards and they still actually work, but obviously not ideal. So on this one, you notice here, right up front there, I do have an arrow. There you go. You can see in that light. It's pointing back towards my face here. So I'm going to install it this way, being sucked back in towards the filter. So that being my pump, that's going to be doing the sucking. I'm going to look to install it right there. So again, my direction arrow here, it's just showing me it wants to go that direction, which would mean I'm installing it like so, just like this. And so as you can tell, I'm going to fit really just inside here, but I have about 1 inch of play inside this that it'll go. So I'm probably looking at making my cuts probably about here and about here. And because my pump's loose, I can kind of crack this nut and be able to slide this over this way to be able to pinch it all back in here once I have it all glued. But not that I need an excuse to go to the Home Depot, but I'm not sure I have all the right glues I need, so off to the store to grab what we need. So at Home Depot, go to the plumbing aisle and I'm looking at PVC glue. A whole bunch to choose from here, but I like this here, the Rise and Shine. It lets you do up to 6-inch pressure. And pressure is the key word, along with the size, of course. Now I'm just doing 2-inch. There's some purple primer, which is going to prep the surface for the glue. They do make regular PVC, but if you notice here, it doesn't say pressure. This is just for drainage, typically what PVC is used for. They also have a heavy duty, which is up to a 12 or 18-inch. Also, it's for pressure, but it's $15 to $20 for that medium-sized can. Whereas the blue glue is going to work, and it's only $11. Here we go. Now that I'm back from the most magical place on earth, the Home Depot, got my primer and my glue, let's go cut in ourselves a chlorinator. All right, so I want to determine exactly how much to cut off here. So as I stick this inside, I can kind of feel on the rim that I'm looking at, once I get focused there, looks like about 1.25 inches. And you can see I've got just the tiniest bit of play. So I'm going to come in probably about 1 inch from the end, about a little over 3 to match it. Those are my 2 cuts are, and this is the part that's coming out. All right, so I'm cutting this with a handsaw. In case you're wondering, why a handsaw? 2 reasons. 1, well, I forgot my sawzall at a job site. But 2, I need this to be a really, really straight cut. Now, if I'm just cutting PVC for a drainage pipe, I can have a little bit of play. But when I'm having it pressurized, under heavy pressure here of that pool pump right there by it, I need this to really hold up. So I want to make sure I have a really clean cut. So once I have this separated, I'm actually going to clean off all these burrs really good with my hands, my fingers. Of course, I would do this anyway, but that's why the handsaw. And just getting a little bit of play here to make sure it all fit in. And now for the primer. So I'm actually going to do this double, if you notice. So part of the reason I'm doing it twice is it's actually a cleaner in addition to like a prepper for glue. And this is just a dirty room when to get it clean. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on. And as I put this little feeder in here, again, making sure my arrow is in the right direction, I'm going to put it in horizontal, then spin it up, and that makes sure there's no voids in there. Then I'm going to hold it tight with the pressure on because this will be pressurized. I'll hold this really tight for 30 to 60 seconds while that glue sets up. Okay, and there she is. Got her nice and level, which is always nice. And then I go ahead and just fill the chlorinator with all these pucks. This short chlorinator took about 10. And this adjusts, just like every erosion feeder I've ever seen, somewhere between 1 and 5. It just really determines how open it is to deliver how much or how little chlorine. In case you're wondering what those are that put in there, so these are just what you call like chlorine pucks. They're actually trichlor. There's what that bucket looks like. You can get from any pool store or even on Amazon. They come wrapped in these little bags, but they actually open up and they go in to look something like this. Now, you probably shouldn't touch these with your bare hands like I am because they can cause you skin rash irritation, but it's just bleach, like a high concentrate bleach essentially. Just rinse your hands off fine, it'll be good. We also don't want to get this on your clothes. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'd love you to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you haven't already. See what else I can do for you in the pool and in the house. See you on the next one. All in a day's work for Milwaukee Mike.